The reason many people play MMOs is to get immersed in a whole new world, but when they get so invested that they feel obligated to do their dailies, keep up with others, and play in the most optimal ways, they disconnect with the original reason they wanted to play in the first place. Recently, I've been playing Guild Wars 2 in an interesting new way that allows me to experience the game how it really shines, at my own pace, while giving myself a challenge I can get better at. Essentially, I've been playing Guild Wars 2 Hardcore or Permadeath. You create a goal for yourself, create a character, and try to achieve that goal without dying. For me, that goal was to complete all story missions, including the story dungeons, solo. If you die, you delete that character and start over. While permadeath or hardcore modes have existed in games for a while, I've always struggled to see how it would fit in Guild Wars 2 because most situations are either one of two things: too easy that you have no risk of dying, or difficult but mostly reliant on a team where the life and death consequence is largely out of your hands if others don't perform. So in order for you to create a challenge for yourself, you'd need to either create an abundance of limitations that strip away the fun elements of the open world, such as build crafting, combat, and exploration, or you'd need to grief your teammates in endgame content by playing to not die rather than playing toward winning, which is everyone else's goal. However, I finally figured out a way that makes permadeath fun in Guild Wars 2, and I've been immersed into that hole for the past few weeks, which is why I haven't really been releasing videos. So in this video, I will go over everything about this way to play the game, including why you might want to try this too, how exactly you can go about it, and what rules I've been using to create the experience. First of all, why would you delete your character? Isn't that hurting yourself and ruining your progression on that character? Well, yeah, but that's the point. When you run around the open world in Guild Wars 2, there are waypoints everywhere. If you manage to die, you just waypoint and run back a short distance. There's no punishment for dying, and therefore there is no consequence for your actions. When death is meaningful, your actions become much more meaningful. You'll be thinking about every potential threat and paying attention to the enemy animations to avoid potentially dangerous attacks. And of course, decision making becomes relevant because you'll need to decide which skills and traits will help you more in the current situation, but you only have limited access to them because you need to earn those while leveling up. Because you care more about your character's life, it makes this a much more roleplay oriented playthrough. You can immerse yourself in their story because you're taking your time trying to observe all the factors of each situation to stay alive, which also helps you to pay more attention to little secrets or interesting details you wouldn't notice otherwise if you were just breezing through the story. But our instinct is to take the path of least resistance, and often players will interpret the challenge literally and do whatever they can to survive, even if it means farming boars in Queensdale to level 80. That's why there must be some rules to guide you to a better experience. Remember that this is all roleplay and personal gameplay, so you can make your own rules and decide how strict you want to adhere to those rules to improve your gameplay. But trust me, going easy on yourself is missing the point entirely. If you balance your rules too easily and you succeed your first attempt, are you really changing your experience? Here are the rules I came up with for myself. Change them how you wish or add to them. First of all, deaths count as fully dead. Down state is fine if you can rally. If you lag and die, that's bad RNG, but you died. Die to fall damage? Should have played more carefully. Got killed while AFK? Don't AFK in places that can potentially get you killed. You can excuse disconnect deaths if you want, but I go by the /deaths command. If that number goes above 0, I delete my character. You can change the punishment to be deleting a random piece of gear if you die or something else, but permanent death is the only way to make me care about each and every action I make. Second rule, no account bound currencies or items. If you can just buy best in slot gear with gold from the trading post, you'd be breezing through the content as usual. Using the gear that you get by leveling up makes you care more about the loot you pick up, and because your gear won't be the best, you'll actually need to pay attention to the mechanics of enemies rather than brute force them. There are some exceptions to this. You can use karma to purchase items from heart quest vendors because it promotes exploring the world rather than sticking to one place to farm. The other exception is that you can use gold to access waypoints, but you can only access waypoints while standing on top of a waypoint. This is only a minor inconvenience, but it prevents you from getting out of risky situations by just waypointing out. You actually need to solve your way out of them, making your decisions matter much more. Also, waypoints in general ruin the feeling of exploration, so limiting them promotes more exploration. Next, do story chronologically, including story dungeons solo. For many people, this might sound insane, and it kind of is because the story dungeons, while you're on their level and with leveling gear, are pretty hard, but they're absolutely possible to solo. It requires a lot more thinking, strategy, and patience than it does skill, which is a big change of pace from the normal rotation spam in raids. Gathering one of every weapon your class can use may be meaningful because I got lost in a dark room and I couldn't waypoint out. If I could have used my ranger torch, I would be able to see where I was going. Luckily, another player was nearby to help me get out. It also makes the open world leveling process much more meaningful because you need to search for the best gear from heart vendors or get a lucky drop from mobs to prepare yourself for the next dungeon. If you aren't doing this, you'll more likely die in the next dungeon. Leveling in open world can still be pretty chill and enjoyable. It gives you a break from doing dungeons and story episodes that put you in a lot of danger. Only do story and leveling while in the level range of that story or zone. This means don't go leveling in Queensdale, which is a level 1 to 15 zone, when you're level 30. Even with downscaling, mobs are not balanced towards you having more traits and skills, so staying in maps of your current level requires more interaction and will also potentially put you in situations where you are under-leveled more often. Of course, you can play safely and avoid those under-leveled situations, but the faster you want to level, the more area you need to cover, and the more risks you need to take. You probably want to do this anyways because if you're leveling in Queensdale, the heart quests there aren't going to give you gear that prepares you for Twilight Arbor. Also, you need to do the dungeons and story steps before the next one is available. If you unlock Ascalonian Catacombs at 30 and Cauticus Manor at 40, don't wait till 40 to do Ascalon. However, I like to wait until 45 to do Cauticus Manor because that's a huge power spike when you get 2 trait lines. Just passing through lower level zones and getting waypoints is fine because you often need to do that for story anyway, but don't sit there farming hearts and events. Remember, this is to make your experience better. You can decide to be more relaxed on this rule or not, but I think farming hero points in lower zones ruins the progression, and will also make elite specs too easy to obtain if you happen to make it to level 80. Lastly, no mounts or gliding until you unlock those in the story. So as soon as you reach Heart of Thorns, you can glide. As soon as you reach Path of Fire, you can mount. I designed this challenge to be very convenient so that you don't need to go get another account to do it. You can just do it on your main account, just create another character, and just abide by these rules. You can unbind mounts, but gliding can't really be removed. Just put yourself on the honor system, and if you do accidentally glide, just reenact that situation without gliding, and if you die, you die. This just makes exploration more meaningful. You can't be jumping off random cliffs or zooming by all the dangerous situations. You need to think about where you are and potentially do some platform to reach your desired location. The furthest I've made it so far is beating the level 50 dungeon Twilight Arbor, but so far I've already died 8 times doing this challenge, mostly due to Logan and Air. Logan, get him! Get him, Logan! Get him! Stop shooting me! But I've been learning more and more each time I die to avoid those things next time. When you do things over and over, you optimize your method for handling it over time, and you improve at the game, which I think is one of the best rewards in Guild Wars 2. Ranger is performing the best for me because the pet does so much damage regardless of my stats, and it can tank for me. Necromancer is also very good because it can go for minions and is naturally tanky, But unlike ranger pets, which you can control, the minions just run in and die in those extremely high pressure situations. As a ranger, I did feel the need to micromanage my pet's positioning to help it survive and focus the right target. So I think ranger is the best leveling class for sure. Necromancer's behind it in second place, and then I would say Guardians and Revenants tied for third because they have so much utility and damage, but they are melee, which is inherently risky. If you want to check out some leveling builds, there is a link in the description with one build that will work on every class for leveling and doing this challenge. Of course, you don't need to use my builds, this is your story, and you should get immersed in the character by using what you enjoy or think works for you. On my ranger, I was struggling to find pets because I was trying not to wiki their locations, so each pet was special because they were scarcer, and I ended up naming them because I only had a few of them. When I needed more damage, I put out my pet Melandru stalker named Dar, or when I needed a tanky pet, I put out my brown bear Bruce. If you would like to see more of my permadeath journeys, check out the Twitch channel, which is linked below, where I may or may not be doing a permadeath run. Check the VODs and highlights though, because those will be there for a while afterwards. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and supporting me by sharing the video and liking the video. Let me know in the comments your experience if you tried this out, or what rules you might want to change or add to make the experience better. I think something that is missing in Guild Wars 2 is challenging solo content, and hopefully this can fill that gap. Anyways, I'll see you all next time. Good luck, and if you have to travel by the 9 divines, stay on the road.